All right, welcome back. Coach, Cal Bears come to town, and last year, as we all know, that was a tough game in the road to the BCS championship game. You beat Cal down there 15-13. They played some tremendous defense in that game, and this year, obviously, you get them at home, which is a great place. You love to be able to bring that thing back home, but what do you look for in Cal this year?
You know, it'll be interesting to see how their new quarterback, Zach Maynard, it looks like on film that he started to really get acclimated in that offense, replacing Kevin Riley, who's been there for a couple years. They lost a good running back, in Vereen, and how their new running backs fitting in. We know they had two talented wideouts in Keenan Allen and Marvin Jones coming back, so you knew the wideouts were there, but really what is the quarterback and the running back like when you see them up close and personal? They're big in the offensive line. They lost a couple players on defense, Cameron Jordan, Mike Muhammad, some players, Conti in the secondary, free safety that was all over the field against us last year. So how do you replace those key components? And that's what this deal is I'm sure they're asking the same questions. What's it like without Bear and Rowe and Clark and Pacenger and Matthews? So kind of what they're playing coming in and how similar are they to what they did to us last year? Yeah, well, you start looking at the receivers, and you mentioned Marvin Jones, an excellent, very athletic wide receiver, tall, big. Obviously, he's the type of guy, he's almost a go-to type of guy. But Keenan Allen, huge game against the Washington Huskies, almost 200 yards receiving in that game where they were right down at the goal line at the end of the game trying to tie it to send it to overtime, but came up short. A couple of outstanding individual wide receivers, aren't they? They do, and it'll present some matchup problems for us because they're both good size guys too, and we're not the biggest at the corner spot. So it'll be an interesting matchup, and how much are they going to rely on just the young quarterback or the transfer from the University of Buffalo, and are they going to let him throw it every down against us, or are they going to try to establish a run? And that's what happens in these games. You get a little bit extra time to prepare. You really have a good knowledge of them coming in, but then how far do they continue to follow that same plan, or do they detour from that plan when they start the game plan for us? And that's the fun part of the game, the chess match that goes on within the game between Jeff Tedford and Nick, and then between Clancy Pendergrass and our offensive staff in terms of how, what are their new adjustments this year as opposed to what we've done in the last couple of years. Well, what's made them very tough, obviously, the last couple of years defensively, an outstanding defensive line, but some very athletic linebackers. You mentioned they lose Mike Muhammad, but they still get Michael Kendricks back. He's a really good linebacker. They do, and you throw him in with DJ Holt, who's been around for a little bit, and they've got some depth at the linebacker spot, and they've played in some good games. Their Colorado game was an overtime game, 36-33. They played Fresno State and had a good win over them, and the Washington game, like you said, came right down to the end when they had the ball first and goal on the 2-yard line and just couldn't put it in. So we expect a battle, and that's what this league's about. It's a real balanced league, and you really got to come to play and stay away from the turnovers, stay away from the penalties, and let the other teams make those mistakes, and usually you come out on top. All right, Coach. Well, as always, thanks again for joining us here this week, and all of you back to the cooler. Have a good time there, and we'll look forward to talking to you here after the Cal game.